Oh, there it is. All right. No one's going to be around tonight. This is out of nowhere. Way of the Dragon, see? Bruce Lee, but this is for Chuck Norris, of course, who just passed away, I guess, yesterday after a very long and I'm sure fulfilling life. He got to be 86 just recently. Long, very again interesting life. Um, as a person, I don't know how much I would have liked him really. At least in his older age, I don't know. He seemed to have some maybe political opinions or views or things that I would not agree with, but I don't know. I don't know if he was necessarily crazy or anything. I don't know, or mean. He seemed like a guy that had a good heart. I don't know. I don't. It's so hard nowadays. Not trying to speculate. The man wasn't perfect, and he was not much of an actor, and yet he still has a pretty good legacy on film just because of the character that he was in real life and bringing that to the screen. He's one of the major architects, I guess, or I don't know, pioneers, whatever you want to say, sort of spreading the popularity of Eastern martial arts in the West, particularly North America. He was one of the first decorated Taekwondo practitioners from America, the third, I think, ever to get I don't know, some sort of thing. Although it wasn't actually technically Taekwondo that he'd studied at first. It was a similar Korean martial art. Oh God, you'd think I'd have it up here before I got here, but it was Tang Soo Do. Anyway, he happened to do that because in the late 50s he had joined the American Air Force and was stationed there, and that was where he was able to start training and obviously excelled at it. Was very good, and by the time he had an honorable discharge and came to the U.S., he started to expand his martial arts repertoire and train in other disciplines. Something like karate was also starting to gain a bit of a foothold in the U.S. So he was among sort of that first wave of Americans that would compete in karate tournaments, even though his background was more Taekwondo and the one I said. But again, he expanded on. His contemporaries were people like the great champion Joe Louis, who actually defeated him in I don't know if it's kickboxing or if it was full contact karate at the time, but there were other guys too, like Vic Moore, that he would have been a contemporary of, and I think probably faced off against. There's more than that. Skipper Mullins is another one that comes to mind. I'm not sure if they were in the same weight division or not. But anyway, that sort of wave. And this, of course, is how he met the star and architect of this movie, the greatest martial arts star of all time, Bruce Lee. Now they're both gone, very sad. Chuck outlived Bruce by many, many years, as it turned out. Who would have thought? But it was during this tournament circuit, and of course, Lee's time in the U.S. And in the late 60s, appearing on the Green Hornet show as the character Kato, and during this time also, trying to expand his influence, open up schools to teach his own unique martial art that he was in the process of refining, Jeet Kune Do, and meeting various celebrities. Same sort of thing for Chuck, in that Chuck, one of his, he opened up quite a few of his own sort of karate schools, and he also had some pretty famous clientele. Priscilla Presley, Bob Barker was there. I think maybe the Osmonds. So he also was sort of a well known amongst the Hollywood jet setters. Anyway, so yeah, this is weird because I'm doing a tribute to him, although it's not his movie. He will, of course, star a movie. Which is funny is that I have done a Chuck Norris movie for one of my live commentaries. I did Silent Rage, which is a really weird one, but I really do enjoy. So if you're interested in that, you can find that back on the channel. I don't know what the hell I said about it. Just a bizarre movie. It came out in '82 that I actually got to see a strange re-release in the theater years ago with Ryan. It was a lot of fun. It's this really cheesy movie, but it's a really unique movie in Chuck Norris's filmography, in that, like, I don't know, it had like a horror movie type vibe, and as people know, a lot of it was just sort of Chuck Norris as sort of, again, a strong martial arts guy facing off this time against a character who was a lot kind of like Michael Myers in some ways. Anyway, cool movie. And yeah, so I actually do have a Chuck Norris movie on here that I've done. And I just happened to have, I don't know, access to that time. But I mean, even though I'm a big martial arts fan, do I own Chuck Norris movies? No, because I'm not a big Chuck Norris fan. I respect him and I want to do this out of respect and honor his legacy and stuff like that. But no, I don't think too many of his movies are classics as far as martial arts goes. They could be classics as far as sort of maybe sort of hokey 80s action goes, like, I don't know, Delta Force or something like that. They're a good time. They're not amazing. You don't want to read too much in them. There's stuff like I always really enjoyed his movie. I think it's from '83, Lone Wolf McQuade, where he faces off against David Carradine. And that was when Chuck made like sort of the famous quip that, you know, David Carradine was about as good as martial arts as he was at acting, which is very true. But still a fun movie. But I don't know. Some people are really big fans, and I get why. And he was a legit martial arts with good skills, but he was not much of an actor. I guess he did have some sort of charisma, something that made him give him staying power, because obviously he was a star and people did like him. And like a lot of those guys, his popularity really faded in the 90s, but then it sort of came back and did the show Walker, Texas Ranger. By the time you get into the 21st century, when he was, you know, already getting quite old, he had that resurgence of popularity because of probably that bit that Conan O'Brien used to do, because they had access to clips from Walker, Texas Ranger. He used to do this thing where he would just pull this lever and it would show like random out of context clips from that show. And then like early, sometime in the mid 2000s, like, you know, the meme stuff really started, all that stuff about how Chuck Norris is basically, you know, invincible and undefeatable. And there's all sorts of funny ones in there. Already, I'm sure there's plenty memes about how Chuck hasn't actually died. You know, he's defeated death, or I don't know, stuff like that. They'll come up. There's just another fist underneath that beard. And, you know, he's the only one to like play tennis against a brick wall and win, and all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't have any of his movies. So instead, we'll do the first movie he ever appeared in, the Bruce Lee film. I think this is Bruce Lee's second film after The Big Boss, Way of the Dragon, which is a bit interesting, and it takes place in Italy. And I think it's funny, too, that, like, so many people, and it wasn't their fault. I'm not judging those people back then. I judge people now, but not back then. You know, if they were watching, like, the English dub, as they probably would have been released in theaters back in the 70s over here, is, like, if you're watching an English dub of a movie like this, like, a big part of the plot kind of loses all meaning. Because a big part of this is, of course, that Bruce is a Chinese person in Italy who does not speak Italian, and the Italians do not speak Cantonese or Mandarin. And there's supposed to be like this, you know, there's supposed to be like this wall of between them of not being able to communicate. And then, of course, there's our famous scene that we get to where Bruce communicates with this crime boss guy just through hand gestures. But it's all pointless if you watch an English dub, or pretty much any dub, because in a dub, they're all speaking the same language, so it doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, you know, speaking of Joe Louis, there's rumors and stuff. It might even be on his Wikipedia page, like saying that maybe Joe Louis was originally supposed to be in this movie and had a falling out with Bruce Lee and then was replaced by Chuck Norris. I don't know. I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of other sources that contradict that it was always going to be Chuck that they wanted for this fight. You know, and Chuck Norris had said something like, when he was invited to do it, he's like, I have to lose. Bruce is like, well, yeah, you have to lose. And he's like, but it's not going to be like my other movie where I just go through everybody. Like, it'll be a good back and forth fight. You know, I guess it was acceptable to Bruce. And not Bruce. I mean, to Chuck. It's acceptable to Chuck. Of course, it's Bruce's movie. He calls the shots. But we might as well just get on here. So I just have a really old DVD of this from a really old, crappy set. It's weird because I guess there's separate rights for arguably Bruce's most famous movie and the movie that really broke through after this. And the last movie he did before he died, complete movie that he did before he died. Can't remember what anything's called anymore. Oh, you know the one. Wow, I can't think of Bruce Lee's most famous movie. I'm a failure. Okay, let's go through them. The Big Boss. Enter the Dragon, of course. It also has dragons. So Enter the Dragon. So Enter the Dragon is not part of this old set I have. It's all his other movies except that, including, of course, Game of Death, which he died during, and it's just sort of like a weird unfinished movie that they slapped some extra stuff into. And then there's also Game of Death 2, which doesn't have him at all. Unicorn Chan might be in there. Unicorn Chan's in this movie. That's a friend of Bruce that would be in his movies and then be a star, sort of a middling star in the 70s in sort of some of those Bruce exploitation movies. Some of those probably lesser quality kung fu movies of the 70s that were more just trying to fill the void of Bruce and just, capitalize on him and his character and his legend. And, most of it's didn't amount to much quality. I'm sure some of those ones are okay, but I never bothered with too many of them. But Unicorn Chan was a pretty good martial artist, I'll say that. And he was friends with Bruce. So there's something to that. Okay, on this weird DVD that I have, like I couldn't, we're gonna do a countdown and then hit play. I couldn't like pause it through the most of the opening titles. So where I have it paused, finally, the first place I got pause it is just as the Golden Harvest logo is going to come up. So anybody watching, or anybody for either it's live or later, obviously not live, nobody's here right now, but I just mean get it to that part where you first start to see like one of like the red rectangles appear before it like expands into the Golden Harvest logo, and that's where we will start from. It's for a movie that I've owned and known for a while, it's actually been a long time since I watched any of Bruce Lee's movies outside of my favorite, which is actually Fist of Fury. Fist of Fury has always been my favorite Bruce Lee movies. All his movies are good. He only obviously got to do a few before his very untimely and shocking death. But I mean, so obviously I'll be talking about him. But this is a tribute to Chuck, although he really is just here as like for one really good fight scene. He doesn't have much role in the movie beyond that, which is just as well. Chuck was not an actor then. And even as he became an actor, he didn't really get too much better at it. But I don't know. So we'll do a 3, 2, 1 play. And that'll start us on the Golden Harvest logo. So 3, 2, 1, let's hit play. And I'm sure I'll, as usual, have to adjust my volume. Golden Harvest, right? Yeah. Of the two big studios, you have the Shaw Brothers and then Golden Harvest. Of course, I'm Team Golden Harvest, although they're both good. Shaw Brothers was obviously the more old school and had sort of like the more, especially if you're more hardcore and interested in some of those great kung fu actors that did not really become international stars, somebody like T Lung or somebody, guys like that. Whereas, of course, Golden Harvest has the name recognition of first Bruce Lee, and then after Bruce Lee, I mean, Bruce was still alive when they came in, but you have people like Sammo Hung and of course Jackie Chan. And I do think Golden Harvest, if you had to pick between the two, does have the better movies, just because of, Sammo Hung's a really big reason for that. But if you wanted to like compare them again, I'd say the Shaw Brothers ones are just more old school. Almost all of theirs were like, period pieces. What's interesting is something about Bruce Lee when he came in is like his movies were set in the contemporary world, like this one is, of the 70s, except for Fist of Fury. And oddly enough, that's my favorite. Even though when it comes to a lot of these movies, I actually usually do prefer 20th century settings, more of a contemporary, like at least post World War II, rather than the old days. Although of course there's exceptions, but my exception really is with Bruce is Fist of Fury. It's just always my favorite. I love the remake too. The remake Fist of Legend is my favorite Jet Li film, where of course Jet Li plays the same character as Bruce. And there's a live commentary on my channel years ago with I think with both Orc and Jay, and that was a really fun one to do. But here we go. I forget a lot of this movie. I haven't seen in a long time. So hopefully I have this on right. I want to have it with Cantonese and English subtitles. Although there's Italian in it too, of course, taking place in Italy. It's Italy, right? I can't even remember. Pretty sure it's Italy. Yeah, so I mean, this is a Golden Harvest production, but Bruce had his own, I guess, smaller production company that they work with called Concord Production Inc. And this might be their first movie, I think, because I don't think he had made it by the time he did his first film, The Big Boss, when he was basically an unknown. Maybe not a complete unknown because he had been on that show. And the show, it is not, while it was an American show, I guess, the show was shown in China, of course, at the time, to the point where, like, instead of calling it like the Green Hornet, they just called it like the Kato Show because it was all about him. And of course, it would have been very, very exciting, of course, for Chinese audiences to see a big an American show with a Chinese character who was so important and really the coolest character on the show. Maybe it's the Green Hornet and he's the star, but really Kato's the coolest guy. Man, this is horrible quality. Like seriously, like at least this bit that I'm looking at, it looks like there's like Vaseline on the lens or something. It looks like shit. I'm just so used to watching Blu-rays and even 4Ks and stuff. So this is again an old DVD, and it does not look good at all. In some of these shots, it just looks smudgy and not clear. Whatever. So we're getting an introduction to his character here. He like teases a kid, I guess. I don't know, to show he's got a sense of humor. I don't know. Bruce Lee was not great at humor, but again, it's hard to sum that all up because his movie career was so brief. It's such a shame that he died for many reasons, just of course because he's a human being and had his life ahead of him and all this stuff. Even though by the time he was 32, he'd already packed more into his life than most of us do in double or triple that. He was one of the biggest stars in the world, and he was very successful and influential. A lot of people admired him. Of course, there was money and there was fame, and there was a downside to that. And his marriage wasn't perfect, but he did love. I'm sure he loved his wife and his kid, his son and daughter. Of course, he didn't live to see the tragic death of his own son, who died even younger than he did, Brandon. We've talked about many times. So are the subtitles on or what? He's just trying to order some eggs at this restaurant. Again, they're showing the language barrier. So he's just pointing on the menu. I hope I'm never reduced to that, traveling. Could happen, though. I'm a useless anglophone. Not as useless as most anglophones. I'm at least somewhat fluent in French. And, I'm slowly picking up some Japanese and Tagalog, much more slowly than I expected, but we'll see. What bothers me more is it's more important to me to be able to read Japanese than speak it, honestly. And my reading is very, very, to say it's poor, like it's much worse than poor. It's almost non-existent. Every once in a while, I'll recognize a character here and there, but then I usually can't make sense of it. It's difficult. Of course, Japanese has a couple different writing systems, the kanji and the other. So there he is, eating all these soups. I don't know. Again, I think it's just supposed to be comedy. He's got like 5 bowls of different soups. I don't know. Whatever the joke was, I wasn't paying enough attention to follow it. And so far, people have only spoken English, even though they're in Italy, so no subtitles will come up. Which is weird, because it should show subtitles for everything, even if it's English, but I don't know. I'll just wait. He is eventually going to speak to other Chinese characters, so I'll see what happens, and hopefully I don't have to adjust on the fly. Because the whole thing is like, I don't know, what is it? He has like relatives that own a restaurant or something like that. His eyebrows look weird. Got the photo. I think that's who you're supposed to meet. So there's that Nora Mao. What's interesting is that Nora Mao's in a lot of stuff, but not really that I've seen besides this. Like has a very small role in The Big Boss. I couldn't point her out to you. Okay, yeah, she has a role in Fist of Fury too. I just don't really remember. She's also in New Fist of Fury, which I believe is the Jackie Chan movie that, kind of failed. She's in Dragon Fist, which is a Jackie Chan movie I've never seen. So yeah, throughout the 70s, she was in several others, but I didn't really know them. But the biggest role I would know her for besides this is Fist of Fury. I don't know if she does any martial arts herself, but she was born in Hong Kong, but she's lived in Canada for ages, since at least the 90s. Good to know she's still around. She's 74. Yeah, I'm not sure if she does any martial arts. Not in this movie, I don't think, anyway. She might in other movies. We'll see. Yeah, it's looking blurry again. But it is kind of sad, big martial arts fan that I am, that I only own Bruce Lee's movies, including or not including his most famous, Enter the Dragon. Don't own that. And just have this really old, crappy DVD set of these. You think it would be a priority for me to get, better versions, Blu-rays, 4Ks, what have you? I don't know. It's not that they're not. You just, I guess because they're so famous and well known, I'm not too concerned. I'm always looking for movies that, maybe I've heard about or read about and didn't get to see, and I'm excited to get them. Is this all English? I thought I put. Fucking hell, man. Okay, this is not listening to me. I don't want you to be in English. How do I set this? Oh, I've never done this during a live commentary, but I don't think anybody's watching, so I guess they don't mind. So is this working now or what? Okay, there we go. I had this before. Okay, we're back. What's the timestamp since I fucked things up? Just coming up on 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, I fucked that up. I'm gonna turn it down some more. Why is this always so loud? Alright, they'll do anything for my land. So what? It's like gangsters or something are like trying to extort the. Let's see what happened here. It's of course this is in Rome, not just. Yeah, there's a crime boss that wants their property, so he's trying to like intimidate them to get them away. It is a restaurant. His character, so Bruce's character in this is Tang Lung. Like a lot of these movies, Bruce is dubbed by someone else. I don't mean the English, I mean even in the Mandarin and Cantonese. But this movie always makes me think of the later Jackie Chan movie, Wheels on Meals, because it's about Chinese guys not over in Europe too, except they're not in Italy, they're in Spain. And rather than having a restaurant, they have like a sort of food truck business. I mean, it's a very different plot and everything, but they always sort of remind me of each other. It was just when Jackie was really starting to do contemporary films instead of like the period pieces set in way back when. It's funny, like they don't show enough, or I'm just not smart enough to like differentiate, because sometimes they'll have like a martial arts movie and it's set in like, maybe the 1860s or something. They might even have something from centuries earlier and they look kind of the same to me. It's like, this is Tang Dynasty, this is Manchu Dynasty, stuff like that. It's like I can't tell. Again, not that those movies were really, a lot of them, well done as far as showing historical accuracy for a period. Sometimes, though. I mean, as some of them who had bigger budgets did, like Project A, which seems to be set at either the end of the 19th century or start of the 20th century, sort of old Hong Kong, as they say, which is like Hong Kong between like 1850 and the end of World War II. That had more of a budget, so like the costumes and stuff and some of the landmarks and stuff lines up pretty well. Although again, it's not a specific year, right? So it's her uncle who owns the restaurant, and he's called him in to help him deal with these gangsters or whatever. Oh, some ugly decor. Ugh. Oh, hello, Acres. No, I have not. Tonight is our Chuck Norris tribute, even though this is not a Chuck Norris movie. This is his first appearance. That's what we're doing. It's, Chuck Norris just died, so I thought I'd do a movie that I have that has his first film appearance and arguably still maybe his best fight scene, considering he gets to actually fight with Bruce Lee. I mean, for the rest of his career, did he ever have any good fight scenes as good as that? Probably not. I don't know. Yeah. Even speaking Cantonese, you can tell if you're familiar with him, like that is not Bruce Lee's voice. But it was very normal for, especially back in the 70s, to have those, even into the 80s, to have those movies dubbed. Why is she asking him how the restaurant business is? Yeah, he's like, I live on a farm. I don't know. I came here because you guys have a restaurant. Oh, now he talks about practicing martial arts. Oh, look at the sidekicks. And the other thing, too, you have to remember that over in China, Bruce Lee's main teacher, he had various teachers, and it was obviously the most famous teacher was Ip Man, who was a practitioner of Wing Chun. And you do see a little bit of that in Bruce's movies, but mostly he does a lot of flashy kicking. And I don't know if it's true, if it's urban legend, but a lot of people say that like when he'd come over and was in America in the late 60s and he was sort of on the circuit and getting to know other martial artists and attending these karate tournaments and stuff like that, that like Chuck Norris is one of the guys that like helped him improve his kicks and do better kicks. I mean, I can sort of believe it, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure that Bruce knew how to kick well before that, but it is true that Wing Chun, its kicks were more simple and straightforward. A Wing Chun kick is usually just sort of a low leg kick. Certainly not the spinning hook kick that Bruce does a lot of, or that he's really known for, just like a really strong side kick. So I don't know. There might be some truth to that. I wouldn't put it that like, oh, like Chuck had to come in and teach him. I think it was more like maybe they just, worked together. Now we're going to finally see the restaurant. It's funny. I mean, this is a Chinese movie set in Rome, but it's in 1972, and I just watched a few weeks ago, and I was going to do that special hockey show on, what is it called? Channel 11, Jess and Corey's channel. Cable 11? God, I think I'd remember. But anyway, I got the 1971 movie Face Off, which most people know is a Canadian hockey movie that actually had a lot of real life NHLers and a particularly current Toronto Maple Leafs, because it's a story about a fictional guy who becomes a Toronto Maple Leaf and about his tumultuous relationship with the girl he meets and becomes his girlfriend, who's like a singer-songwriter, and sort of how their worlds clash. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that movie came out in 71. It's set almost entirely in Toronto. But it's funny to see like how similar this movie looks to it, because it just shows that like the world over, styles and things really did blanket everything, to the point that like 1971 Toronto has a lot in common with 1972 Rome, although you wouldn't think so just because of the styles and things. I mean, of course, Rome is Rome. It's going to have some of that really old classic architecture, and we got to see some of it. Here comes a white woman. She's telling him, you got to be more polite. Not everyone you meet is a villain. Foreigners are warm and polite. When people smile, smile back. That's politeness. Is that something people don't know in China or didn't know? That it's not just someone smiles at you, maybe you should smile back? I don't know. Maybe back then. So now this woman seems to be flirting with him. She winked at him, so he winks back. I mean, right? Yeah, so again, the language barrier, the culture clash. She's like, I'm going to pick up this cool Chinese guy, even though he's obviously here with another woman. Those Italians are so friendly. They're a passionate lot. We know that. I was like, okay, put my arm around her. I get it. It's like, I'm just trying to be polite. What? So, yeah. So it's like the most humor Bruce does in his movie. Like, most of his movies are like ultra serious. Is that like, this might be the most humor you see Bruce Lee do. Wow, he even went with her. What is going on here? She successfully brought him home. What is on your mind? Tang. Tang Lung, what are you going to do, Tang? She said make yourself at home, but you don't understand Italian. I don't either. Might as well practice some kicks again. That's making himself at home. Oh, the speed. That's not undercranked, folks. Like a lot of those movies in the 70s and even in the 80s, even in the early 90s, you would see a bit of under. Oh, wow, she's actually topless. That's pretty cool. She's a liberated 70s woman. I love it. And he's like, oh, gotta go. We only see her reflection in the mirror, but still, nudity. That's pretty cool. You don't see nudity in Jackie Chan movies, except for his first like attempt. What's the one? Oh, The Protector. What's funny is like The Protector, which came out in '85, which is an American movie that Jackie Chan did. It's almost like a blueprint for what he would do over a decade later, only successfully with Rush Hour. Except like it doesn't really have any comedy in it at all, and it's really bloody. It's an R-rated movie, and it's full of nudity. And I remember it was one of the things Jackie didn't like about it. It's still an amusing movie, and I like it, and it has good moments. But yeah, it's like Jackie plays a Chinese American cop with a white partner as opposed to a black partner like you would get in Rush Hour. Although that's a bit different because in that one he's a citizen from Hong Kong coming to the U.S. In The Protector, I think he is American, if not American born. At least he's been living in America. It's an interesting movie and definitely worth watching. But also because it is so off-brand and weird. It seems just so different from in tone and everything from most of Jackie's movies, which are always very lighthearted and fun. Even when people are getting killed, there's still jokes and stuff. All right, so the very shy guy has fled the very friendly topless Italian woman and gone to his uncle's restaurant. Or no, it's not his uncle, it's her uncle. So he's not even related to this guy. He's just friends with him or something. Not used to things yet. How are things in Hong Kong? But he said, like, I don't know. I'm a country boy. I didn't go into town very much. Oh, I forgot how pretty she is. Nora Mao. She's in Toronto. Possibly I could go meet her. Speaking of Mao, like Angela Mao, of course. Angela Mao is about 75 now, and she's lived in New York since like the 90s, and she has a couple of restaurants. And every once in a while, people go to there and track her down. I'd love to do that, but part of me feels bad. Like I don't want to bother somebody. She's lived when she retired from acting. Like she basically retired from the public eye and just wanted to do that. Like sometime in like 2006 or something, she came out to I think it was some sort of like Hong Kong award show. It was like some sort of lifetime achievement award, and they were giving it to Sammo Hung, and like she I think is the one who was they arranged it for her to be the one to like give it to him, and that was like a big shock to like not just Sammo Hung but like the audience in general, because she had sort of retired from public life. So it was a big deal for her to make such a public appearance and to sort of acknowledge her film career. Angela Mao, of course, this same year in '72 would do a couple great movies. She's in the very first Golden Harvest film, which might be 70 or 71, called The Angry River. But in '72, she really gets going with I own both. They're amazing. I have them on an Arrow set. Lady Whirlwind, and then Hapkido, which both came out a few months apart in 1972. This movie has some links to Hapkido that I'll get to later. But anyway, my point is, so she was already becoming a star herself, to the point that I don't know if at that time, again, at this point, she'd met him. But obviously he saw her work, and he personally picked her for the role that she would have in the flashback, playing his sister in Enter the Dragon. You learned any boxing? Okay, here we have some kung fu students. He's an expert Chinese boxer. I mean, he says I'm just a novice. That's interesting too. Chinese boxing, I understand it lacks power. So what? Are these guys saying they like learn karate instead? I missed that. Because these guys seem to be Chinese, but they're scoffing at Chinese martial arts. Putting the hip into it, that's very true. That's what makes kicks good. The whipcord effect. Yeah, you demonstrated to put the hip into it? Sure, why not? He's just a novice, but he's afraid he'll hurt someone. Yeah, this whole sidekick thing here, I think, is echoes to something that really happened. Or again, it's hard to separate fact from fiction and, urban legend and things. There's a lot of stories about things that Bruce Lee did in his life, a lot involving, matches and fights and things, who he fought and things like that. But one that seems somewhat true is that, like, on the set of his first movie, which they were shooting down in Thailand, The Big Boss, a lot of the stunt guys that were there, including a then unknown Bolo Young, they hadn't heard of him really, and they were unimpressed by him, because even for a Chinese guy, he was quite skinny, and they're just like, who's this skinny guy? He's the star here. And somebody had like scoffed at him or something, and I guess Bruce like sidekicked him, like, and he went flying across the room or something. I think that there's at least some truth to that. It is true that, like, back then, he wasn't a star. People didn't know him, and people did underestimate him and wonder. But again, it's hard because he looks ridiculous. Sorry. The bad guys have just shown up. And they do not look particularly intimidating. They look kind of like rejects from the cast of Jesus Christ Superstar or something. Yeah, so they're speaking English. That's the other thing too. Is like, even if you watch this in Cantonese, there is like no Italian. The Italians speak English. So yeah, the Chinese speak Cantonese and or possibly Mandarin. I can't remember. This DVD seems to have a dub of both. I'm using the Cantonese one because I think that's what Bruce would have spoken. So you watch most of these Golden Harvest and Shaw Brothers movies from at least the mid-'70s on, it's Cantonese all the way. But that was after a switch that happened around 1970 or so, because before that, it was Mandarin. But then once everything centered on Hong Kong, it all became Cantonese instead. So some of those movies, like from the later 60s, I think they were originally dubbed in Mandarin. Again, I say dubbed because that's how they always did it. Regardless of what language the actors are speaking, even if they all spoke the same language, they were almost always dubbed over afterwards. That's just how they did it. Which was very practical later on when you had productions that had, people from different countries that spoke different languages. So sometimes when you had like Westerners, I don't know what they're actually saying in the moment, but they're basically just told, yeah, just, say the line or whatever in English or whatever your language is, because we're just going to dub over it later anyway. We're not at all concerned about your lips syncing up with whatever dialogue we sub in. So don't dub in, so don't worry about it. You don't even know a word of English, he says. Yeah, so he doesn't even know that these guys, I guess, threatened them. Yeah, she says English. Again, that's kind of confusing. It's like, why are these Italian gangsters all speaking English? I don't know. I mean, you can make the argument that, yeah, in a lot of situations, because English is the most widely spoken language, it's not spoken by the most people, but it's spoken in the most places, right? That so often you get like people that speak different language from each other, but all and their common language, the way they can communicate is English. I remember a few years ago, I was talking to a woman, whatever. She was also a tutor in the tutoring program that I'm part of. Well, not exactly, because I think she was like a math tutor, and I was a literacy tutor. But anyway, she was from India originally, and I was talking to her, and her friend came to like pick her up, and when her friend, who was also Indian, and we hung out for a while before she left. And they explained that they were from different parts of India and actually didn't speak the same language. So they only spoke to each other in English because they both knew English. So that's kind of interesting to think about, because they were from the same country, but yeah. Some more bad guys swaggering on in. They're just here to make trouble. No Chuck Norris yet, though, because he's like specifically brought in for the fight. So his character, I remember his name's Colt. He might have like a couple words of dialogue, but mostly he just shows up for one scene to fight, I think. It's like, I don't know what Chinese spare ribs are. Which is fair, again, as people know, like a lot of the food you get at like Chinese restaurants in the West, like, is not really what you would get over in China, or at least it's different from it, a different version or something. Yeah, you're here to make trouble. Okay, yeah, that's not going to work. They're mad at him for not speaking English. Maybe they should be mad at. Maybe she should be mad at her uncle. He lives here. He runs a business here, and apparently he can't speak English or Italian or whatever. So because he's yelling at him in Cantonese, "Don't make trouble, please go." Like, you live here. This is your business. Don't get mad at Tang. He just got brought over, but you live here. Where is Tang? He just left. Out in the alley, which really looks like a set. So here's one of the staff. Like, some of these staff guys, again, claim to know some martial arts, but it's not going to work out too well for them. Martin McDonough? I don't even recognize that name. I'm too out of the loop, I guess. The only movie I care about right now is the new Spider-Man movie. I'm so hyped for that. Waited my whole life. Like, I literally don't care about the other Spider-Man movies. I know a lot of people like Spider-Man 2, but to me, much too simple. This is what I've waited for. I've waited for a Spider-Man movie where he's finally on his own, fighting crime. He's in college or whatever. Yeah. He's not Tony Stark's apprentice. He doesn't have any, he doesn't have any weird technology suit. And finally, there's all sorts of other things involved. I mean, The problem with the first two trilogies, was that Spider-Man was just by him. He had his various villains, but that was it. I didn't feel he was part of a bigger thing. Now we've had MCU Spider-Man for 8 or 9 years now, and we already have a trilogy, and they're all fine. But it wasn't until the last 10 minutes of No Way Home that I was like, oh, finally is where I want. And it looks like this movie, Brand New Day, is really going to deliver. It looks so good. It's gonna have the hand and it looks awesome. Okay, so Tong is here. Little dragon seeking its path. Yeah. Big dragon whipping tail. Our guy is dead on the floor. Maybe we should leave. They're not convinced? Okay. Give it a shot. This guy seems to maybe have a boxing background. He's trying to hit him. Yeah, that's the problem with boxers. They don't protect their legs. I mean, boxers are well trained and well conditioned and everything, but they're not conditioned to get kicked in the legs. I'm probably more used to getting kicked in the legs than a boxer. And I'm just a stupid amateur. Magnificent. So I feel bad because the first time in any one of these things, I actually interrupted the movie, stopped to fix something because I didn't have the subtitles on the way I needed to have them. But where we're at right now is 34 minutes and about 25 seconds. So yeah, I know I messed it up. And I know the beginning countdown wasn't perfect either because I had it stopped just before the beginning of the Golden Harvest logo. And I don't know, what other people are watching on, what comes up if they're streaming it or they have a Blu-ray or something. Again, this is a really old DVD that I'm watching. Quality is not very good. But I needed something with Chuck. Shaman? You mean the guy from Alpha Flight? I mean, I know some Alpha Flight. The original run. They had some, revivals over the years that were never any good, didn't last long. But I know quite a bit of the original, 80s Alpha Flight run. It's not great stuff, but and of course some good crossover with Claremont's X-Men in the 80s too. I don't know. I don't really have a moment for Shaman. He was, as you might expect, it was great to have a Canadian super team, but they were all lame stereotypes. And even though, what's his name? I can't remember fucking names. You know who I mean, the artist. It'll come to me. John Byrne. Even though John Byrne had spent time living and training in Canada, it seems like he didn't actually learn very much, because if you read a lot of stuff in that Alpha Flight run, he makes mistakes all over the goddamn place, and it's kind of embarrassing. It's gotten better now, but the Canada of the Marvel universe in the 80s was just a city here and there, vast wilderness, some French people, some indigenous people. None of that's wrong exactly, but yeah, I don't know. You have to start somewhere, right? That's kind of how it is with almost anything, the early appearances of maybe like a racial minority. They're never very good, but over time it gets better. The same can even be said for Canadians, whether we're talking about Indigenous Canadians like Shaman or others. But I mean, I'm glad Alpha Flight's around for sure. I mean, that was one of the many things that made me like Marvel more than DC. It was like DC just ignored Canada. It was like it didn't exist at all. It took DC fucking forever to have any Canadian characters or acknowledge it. Like, I like that Marvel was like, yes, Canada's here. It's part of things, which you didn't even see in a lot of American TV and a lot of American movies and stuff. So I appreciated that at least as early as maybe the mid 70s, you started getting some stuff. Part of it being, the decision to make Wolverine a Canadian. That's really where it stems from, I'm sure. But no, I mean, I don't think there's ever been like a solo Shaman miniseries or anything, has there? I think he's only appeared in like Alpha Flight stuff. I don't know. Bruce is going crazy on the kicks. Pads. Those pads suck too. Like, modern pads way better than these. You feel everything holding those pads, I bet. Right into the boxes. I think there's a scene just like this in the Green Hornet, right? Where he gets a guy to hold a pad and he kicks him into some boxes. Fantastic. They're calling him Oolong as opposed to Tang, but I don't know, that might mean something. I don't know which one is Jimmy. Whoever Jimmy is Unicorn Chan. Well, I've seen Unicorn Chan in things. I can't remember very well what he looks like, so I can't point him out or pick him out. But he is Jimmy, according to the cast list. I've passed very close to Hamilton, but not actually been in it. But I've gone sort of right by it many years ago, but didn't spend any time in it. What, like the wire work stuff? Would that be okay? Do you mean would I be afraid? Like, no, I wouldn't be afraid. I'm not afraid. I like heights. I'm not afraid of heights. I've always enjoyed heights. So if I, was in like a movie doing like stunt work or something, they said, we got to lift you up on the wire like Peter Pan. Yeah, I would be fine with that. There are things that in movies that people do that I wouldn't want to do. A lot of them involving water, but heights or that, no, that's cool. Oh, here we go. Now it's getting serious. We got a guy with a gun. This guy, I mean, he's got a gun. He's intimidating and all, but the bow tie kind of ruins it. Now you could say, oh, that's, again, people that like are kind of obsessed with guns and stuff. Who like, he could just shoot him, but I get why he didn't. Like, people with guns are overconfident. He's just like, now move. Like, he in no ways expect this human blur to come flying at him and kick the shit out of him. He thinks he has the gun. He's in control. That doesn't mean I'm telling people, hey, if you think you're kind of good at martial arts and somebody points a gun at you, you can definitely beat them. I don't mean that. Yeah, okay. So here's the famous scene that, again, would make no sense if you're just watching the English dub. Oh, we're not at it yet. Okay. But there's the same office. So Bruce's character, he is going to come to the office and talk to the boss here and the same thing. But I mean, yeah, so watching that all in an English dub would make it. Yeah, it says, didn't you have a gun? It's like, I did. Yeah, so this is all in English. I guess it's supposed to be understood as Italian. Hey, he always does his best. Just one man. Kung Fu? What the fuck is that? Gotta get Bruce shirtless. I always have to have at least one scene where he's shirtless. Perfect physique. Ooh, look at that erotic painting. I mean, that shouldn't be too hard. Although you did run away when you saw that woman's boobs. Of course, that's just a painting. You can handle a painting. No idea. I don't remember what studios do what as a rule. I mean, unless we're talking about, like, again, this is Golden Harvest. Before this, I was talking about the Hong Kong studios, the martial arts movies, the Shaw brothers, and Golden Harvest. So obviously I know that. But as a rule, when you're talking about things like Fox or Paramount or MGM, whatever, I don't remember or keep track of who releases what. So I have no idea what my favorite Paramount movie is. Couldn't even make a guess. Bruce does have more range than I thought here, because he's like not this hyper-focused, super serious guy in this movie, which I just forgot about. I guess I'm used to. I guess it's because the movie I've seen the most is my favorite, Fist of Fury, where he is very serious and intense. This is definitely his sort of most laid back. I don't want to say goofy, but definitely laid back and more innocent character. I've even seen like The Big Boss more than this movie. It's not like I dislike this movie. It's just I just haven't seen as much as the other ones, I guess. The only movie I've seen fewer times than this of his is oh, you know, God, I can't remember anything. I keep forgetting the names of all his movies. Let's go through them again. The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, Way of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, and the other one, which is Game of Death, right? So because Game of Death is not really finished and they had to fill things in and change it from his original vision, it's not that great. So it's probably the one I've seen the least. The other ones are all great movies, all classics, all have their moments. This one's great moment, of course, is the Chuck one, which is why we're doing it today in honor of the late, great, departed Chuck Norris, who has left this plane and ascended to some sort of plane of pure ass kicking. Yeah, so here's some of that cool, classic old Roman architecture. What'd she ask him? I missed that. She just wants him to walk around, take in the sights with her. Fountain. This is Rome. I just recently watched Hannibal again for the first time in a while. A section of Hannibal takes place in Florence. I think I'd rather go to Florence than Rome. I'm not really interested in Venice at all. You know, Ryan's been to Venice. My parents were in Venice. Nothing about it really interests me. Yeah, those are some cool fountains. She calls it the palace. What is she referring to? Such a big place is a waste. In Hong Kong, I build a skyscraper and collect rent. Ooh, that's a very Chinese sentiment, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, Rome's one of the few places that can really match. Well, I won't say few places. More thugs with guns. Two guys with guns and her. So now. Cool it, baby. So we're coming up on 47 minutes, 30 seconds. About halfway through the movie. Ooh, they're taking over the restaurant. The boss means well. He just slapped me. Right, so they do have a bad guy that does speak Cantonese. He's like, all he wants to do is go back to Hong Kong. Here's your ticket. So we can, like, possibly murder your friend and his niece and the staff. So I guess their plan here is just escort him to the airport at gunpoint, force him out. Maybe not to the airport, maybe to a cab, I don't know. Even in 1972, you can't just walk into an airport with guns. Though airport security certainly was a joke back then. Like, look up like how many hijackings took place in the 70s. Hundreds. It's kind of crazy that it wasn't until, the events of September 11th, 2001 that they really decided to revamp airport security so much. It's like, it never occurred to you that things like there were lots of, I don't know. It just seems like, I don't know why it would take so long. Oh, cool. He's got a pole. Do some weapon fighting now. And that's one of the cool things about Bruce Lee movies. Like, yeah, he's great hand to hand, but usually you get at least a scene or two where he uses a weapon. I mean, the nunchucks thing is probably the coolest. He's really what introduced a lot of people to the nunchuck, which I don't even think is like a traditional Chinese weapon, is it? Isn't it Japanese? But maybe I'm wrong, so don't quote me on that. But anyways, beating him with the pole. There, he's got the white tank top, very iconic. Oh, this is the nunchuck right here. Okay, I'm getting my stuff mixed up. I mean, just so cool. You wouldn't have Michelangelo, the Ninja Turtle, without this. I mean, talk about a weapon that's deadly but takes a ton of skill to wield. It's got to be a nunchuck. I mean, how many videos have we seen of idiots trying to use them and just hurting themselves, right? I wouldn't do any better, so I wouldn't try. But when you got grace and coordination like Bruce Lee, it's a deadly weapon. Yeah, I should have remembered that this is the movie with the nunchuck scene. It's funny, it's got the Chuck scene and the nunchuck scene. This is definitely the Chuck movie. He's like, I don't even need two. I'll just beat you with one. Throws one away. Oof. Maybe you shouldn't have given your... Oh. Yeah, so while the choreography is pretty good, you can still see how they're not getting hits. But you can say that about a lot of 70s movies, especially early 70s. One thing I was saying before when I was talking about the two Angel Mao movies from the same year as this, 72, the first one, Lady Whirlwind, and then Hapkido, is it's amazing that Hapkido came out like just only a few months later, and yet it was already, you could see that they were getting so much better at the choreography. Now, I like both movies about equally, but if you're going to talk about which movie is better made, has the better choreography, it definitely is Hapkido, and it just shows how quickly they were improving and figuring things out. And a lot of that is because of Sammo Hung, who was the fight coordinator on both movies, and of course has a role in both movies. He's a bad guy in the first one, and Angela Mao just kicks the shit out of him. And in the second one, he's a good guy who fights at her side. But it's an interesting what-if question. It's like, if Bruce Lee hadn't died when he had, what direction would martial arts movies have taken, and how would the careers of others panned out? Like I don't want to, like, if somebody said, I don't know if this is accurate, but somebody could at least say something like Bruce Lee's death opens the door for like Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan. There was a void that needed to be filled, and they were there to do it. And so you could say that, oh, they benefited. And maybe that's true. But they were also such great talents that I think that even if Bruce had, lived and continued on and continued working, that they still would have emerged as big stars anyway because they were that good. Plus, you know, they're in his early movies just as, you know, background characters. In fact, you can see him kill Jackie several times in his movies. He kills him in Fist of Fury, and he kills him maybe twice in Enter the Dragon. So it's, you know, not inconceivable to think that as the 70s went on, as they became bigger names themselves, that, you know, they might collaborate with him. I mean, just imagine a movie from the late 70s, early 80s that had all three of them together in major roles, you know, not because now they've caught up to him. Now, maybe they wouldn't have caught up to him as quickly. I do think it's true that, yes, there was a bit of a void. And one of the things, like, if you trace Jackie Chan's career and life and you look at the trajectory and how things worked, you realize that actually, in some ways, Bruce Lee's death definitely hurt him, because at first it just seemed like I don't know who you would say, if the studio or whoever or the director, you know, he made a bunch of his first movies with, was it Lo Lei? I don't know. I want to get that right. But anyway, where it was more like, okay, we're just going to, you know, try to make you be sort of the next Bruce Lee, which of course he wasn't, because there's only one Bruce Lee and there's only one Jackie. But I just want to look up that director's name, because Jackie did start by the mid 70s, start, you know, doing his having starring roles where he was the star. But trying to remember the name of their, Lo Wei. So Lo Wei, he did quite a few movies with him. In fact, I believe Lo Wei is the director of this movie. So that's kind of stupid of me to not remember, because I believe Lo Wei directed this movie. Unless I'm crazy. I'm missing some of the action looking this up, but I want to be right. He definitely Let's see. He directed The Big Boss, so he directed Bruce's first movie. He had a small role in Fist of Fury. What about this, though? Way of the Dragon. Okay, no. So he's not the director of this. But he is, yeah. Anyway, he did stuff like New Fist of Fury, The Killer Meteors, and Dragon Fist. Those were all movies that he directed starring Jackie. And they're not bad movies, but, you know, they're not considered, you know, among his best or even close to it. And a lot of it was like they thought like Lo Wei was trying too hard to, you know, make him be something he wasn't. And it wasn't until that he was able to express himself better in something like Snake and Eagle's Shadow. And then, of course, the big breakthrough, Drunken Master, where he really leaned into the comedy, that Jackie emerged as a true star. So Lo Wei. So yeah, Lo Wei directed The Big Boss. Yeah. Okay, right. So this is the one Bruce directed himself. So is this his first one that he directed? I don't know. But anyway, so yeah. So I was looking that up to make sure I got Lo Wei's name right. I missed whatever the hell they're talking about, but the plot is pretty easy to follow. It's like, oh, these guys are really threatening us. We gotta follow them. We don't get killed here. Damn, she's pretty. Uh-oh, somebody's got like a rifle. Like, we can't beat this guy in hand-to-hand or close, or even close up with guns. So we'll just shoot him from far away. I mean, that's a pretty good strategy. Except he's below the window, so only she is in the guy's sights. What's gonna happen? Firecrackers. Distraction. Firecrackers were banned in Hong Kong. Is that true? They're counting down to Chinese New Year. I remember they say it's close to Chinese New Year. And here she is. She's trying to convince him that he's got to leave Rome or they'll freaking kill him. Especially me. What does that mean? You don't understand? People have tried to kill you several times by now. Yeah. He's like, I'll take you to the airport myself. Like, he doesn't seem to grasp the fact that they will really try to kill him. I mean, he's been held at gunpoint and threatened multiple times. But I get it. He's a stubborn guy and he's confident. That's one thing. There's no such thing as a Bruce Lee character that wasn't confident. Oh, he's in the guy's sights now. Kill me? Who? Like, how dumb can you be? Who do you think intends to kill you? The guys that have been threatening and attacking you all along. What's going to make this guy miss the shot? Oh, you just missed. All that lead up and you just fucking miss? It's a weird day for night shot, I think. I mean, if it's supposed to be midnight, it's pretty light out. Yeah, sir, I don't know enough about Paramount. I know that I wouldn't pay for Paramount Plus after the bullshit they've pulled. Paramount has like the Star Trek movies, and Paramount has like South Park. I know like those things show up on Paramount Plus, so I remember that much. This bit is even kind of like 70s crime thrillers, of the era. Reminds you a little bit of like Godfather or French Connection or something. Speaking of French Connection, of course, because of the popularity of that movie, that one of the English titles for Fist of Fury was The Chinese Connection. Because I don't know, they just thought it sounded cool or would appeal to audiences. I don't know. I mean, anytime you're dealing with these kung fu movies, particularly ones in the 70s and 80s, they often have multiple titles. The funniest things is sometimes when they try to make sequels, but they're not really actual sequels. They make a movie that has nothing to do with another movie, but they want to cash in on its popularity anyway, so they give it a title like it's a sequel, even though it's not related. I mean, the In the Line of Duty series is amazing. I've got the 4 official, and I say official, and it's funny, is like even those aren't official because they don't follow the same characters or plot. Like Michelle Yeoh's in the first 2, but she's not the same character in the second one as she is in the first one. That's Yes, Madam. Fuck, I can't remember anything. So Yes, Madam. It's not Royal Warriors. It might be Yes, Madam. Royal Warriors. And then at least 2 of them do get the in the Line of Duty title eventually. Let's see. Yeah, they do call the 3rd and 4th. They do call them In the Line of Duty 3 and 4. Although they might have had other titles too. And again, 3 and 4 aren't necessarily directly linked to each other. And by the time you get to those, Michelle Yeoh's not in them anymore anyway. Not that they aren't good. They're still great. All 4 are amazing. The 4th one might be the best because you've got Donnie Yen and Cynthia Khan. I don't like using that name. I prefer her original Chinese name, but I forget it all the time. But anyway, here she was professionally also known as Cynthia Khan. The Khan part coming from Michelle Yeoh, because Michelle Yeoh, for some reason, when she very first started acting, actually went by Michelle Khan, because like if you look it up, it says they were worried that like English speaking people would struggle with Yeoh. Why? Why is Khan easier to say than Yeoh? Khan, Yeoh, they're both just single syllable things. Maybe I've been saying Yeoh wrong all these years. I don't know. But anyway, I lost. Oh yeah. Anyway, Cynthia Khan. So she was that's where the stage name came from. Cynthia from Cynthia Rothrock, the American Khan from Michelle Yeoh. But anyway, her and Donnie Yen are both in the Line of Duty 4, and it's amazing. I'll probably eventually do live commentaries for them, but I'd rather do them with somebody, because those are really great. Not that this isn't a good movie too, but I just mean my favorite ones, I'd rather have somebody to at least bounce stuff off with and just not be by myself. Like, this obviously wasn't planned. I just decided to do this to do something, and also, again, sort of to honor Chuck Norris, and this is the best way I know how. So yeah, I realize anybody watching this might be a little disappointed in that most of it is just babble and not that interesting. But I'll do better on better movies, I promise. So here we go. They've gotten into I keep wanting to say Big Boss's office, but if I say that, it makes it sound like the movie Big Boss. Yeah, so he actually lets the restaurant staff do some of their own fighting, which is cool. He's trying to show confidence in them. He helps out where he can. So yes, now we're coming to the scene I was talking about. So if you watch this in the English dub, it really wouldn't make much sense because everybody speaks English anyway. But the whole point here is again, they speak about English. So I guess it's not understood as they speak. It's like here in Rome, people speak English. I don't know. But anyway, but now we're getting to the whole point. You just let him very slowly walk over and punch you. Oh, jacket's coming off. Ooh, that big guy's kind of strong. So yeah, his guys were trying their best, but in the end, they're overpowered. So now it's up to Tang. Gee, I wonder what he's going to do. 4 kicks, 5, 6. I really like that. He does like a roundhouse followed up by the spinning hook kick. He was really the first guy to do that, I think. In movies, I mean. So some of his guys are still trying to fight, even though they got beaten down. Oh, that was kind of a cool kick. Yeah, so I'm not sure about Nora. I don't think she does martial arts. I think she just shows up in the movies as like a, non-combatant character. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty high jump. Yeah, they're all down. Time for a little conversation with the boss. Time for some hand gestures. Trying to get a guy in a pink suit's like, maybe not. Maybe that's not a good idea. Boss still wants to maintain some dignity, so he's like, I will go sit at my desk. Actually, Bruce makes him sit. I mean, Tom. He doesn't understand Chinese. That's okay. I can just... This is a good thing. I mean, a good theme. So yeah, it would make no sense if everyone was speaking English. He's like, he doesn't understand Chinese. Yeah, I know. We're all speaking English, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's a cool scene. Of course, it's not the end of it. I beat the shit out of all your guys. I threatened you good. We are at 1 hour and 6 minutes and 45 seconds. There's about 25 minutes to go. Things are really going to ramp up now. What now, boss? Time to call in some outside help. Does he have the idea? Okay. Do unto others. The golden rule makes perfect sense. Right, so he's talking about a Japanese martial artist and an American martial artist. And the American one, of course, is the star of tonight, Chuck Norris. But the Japanese, the karateka, is actually Korean actor Hwang In-shek, who is pretty good friends with Bruce. And when I said Hapkido had a link to this movie, that would be it. He also appears in Hapkido as one of the three heroes, along the other two being Angela Mao and Sammo Hung. But Hung in check maybe has like the best kicks of anybody in the 70s. Holy shit, his kicks are incredible. But yeah, so he did pretty much all the Korean stuff. He did Tang Soo Do, like him, and Hapkido. And for the movie Hapkido, of course, which uses the Korean art Hapkido, to that point, neither Angela nor Sammo had trained in it. So I'm pretty sure he's the one that trained them in it, or at least they work together. Hong and Shek. He's also the bad guy in The Young Master, or the main bad guy in The Young Master, and has a really long fight scene at the end of that movie with Jackie the Star. What's funny is, again, I did a live commentary, a solo one on this channel, of The Young Master. I don't know what I said in that, but I don't think I talked about him, Hong in Czech, which seems kind of crazy, but I just didn't, I don't think. So anyway, so he's not in as many movies as you might think. He also has retired to Canada, and as far as I know, still lives in Toronto, even though he's well into his 80s by this point. So that's great. He's also the main bad guy. It was an extremely long fight against Jackie in Dragon Lord. I haven't seen Dragon Lord in so long. I really need to buy it. I haven't seen Dragon Lord since like 2013 or 2014 or something, when I briefly had American Netflix and was able to access quite a few martial arts movies I'd never seen before and only heard of, including like Jet Li's Swordsman 2. But anyway, yeah, Hong in Czech's awesome. So we're going to see him as the Japanese fighter in this. And then finally, the star of the evening, Chuck Norris as Colt, the American fighter, who are about to be brought in specifically to fight Tang. So what's the note say? Oh, it's from the uncle, who we haven't seen in a while. Is it from the uncle? He wants to go somewhere to help someone. Is this part of a trap? I blabbed again and missed part of it. He might just be leading him into a trap. Maybe it's not from the uncle at all. He hasn't been on screen in a while. I might have missed what's happened. See what it says here. Right, so Nora is Shen. It's Shen. Oh, we missed that part. Oh, the whole reason he went was because he thought she was thought that she was kidnapped, but she wasn't. Oh no, at the time he said a European one and a Japanese one. He didn't say an American. So who's the European one? I'm not sure who the European fighter is supposed to be. Because yeah, I misread that before. Well, so there's Chuck getting off the plane. It was in the old days, pre-beard. But yeah, Chuck is already, I think, like 31 or something here. Like he's not young. So he had a bit kind of a later start to this career, which again makes sense. Like he never had ambitions to be an actor, right? He was a military guy that then moved on and found martial arts and was actually making at least something of a living as like a full contact karate guy and stuff like that. So movies would be a very lucrative thing and a new thing. But it wasn't really to the 80s, I'd say, that he broke through as a true star. You know, he's in some things like Breaker, which might be 79. Did I do Breaker? Am I correct? No, I don't know. I watched it. I probably didn't do it. But anyway, I definitely did. I did do, like, not Legacy Rage. What is happening to me? I can't remember what anything's called. It keeps leaving me. Rage. Silent rage. I couldn't beat up anyone. I don't know. Liv Schreiber seems like he could be tough. I don't think Jason Lee is tough, but he at least must be in at least decent shape, or at least he was. I mean, Jason Lee was a professional skateboarder for a long time, so he had to be in good shape. He doesn't seem like the type of person that would throw hands, but you never know. Liv Schreiber seems more intimidating, but so maybe that's just wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so now Chuck's gonna kick. So there, we finally get to see Chuck in action. There, see a really good spin kick there, which is new. This is 1972. It is kind of new to see like a white guy doing these moves. Not saying it was unprecedented, but it's close to unprecedented, right? This is 1972. The Kung Fu craze is very new. If you want to say it kicked off in 1970 with that movie Chinese Boxer, like I'm not even sure what made it really start to get big in America. I think it probably was Bruce's movies. But yeah, this is a pretty big deal to have like a Westerner, a white guy that's throwing down. And, you know, he's not just shown as like a boxer or a wrestler or something, but no, he's using Eastern techniques. He's doing flashy kicks and stuff. I like both Liv Schreiber and Jason Lee, though. As far as I know, they're both cool guys, so I wouldn't want to fight either. I'm a fan of both of them. For nothing else, I'll always love Jason Lee for Mallrats, right? Oh, he's done other good stuff too, but Mallrats is the pinnacle. Liv Schreiber, you know, I never think of him very much. He's more of a supporting guy, but you know, he's been around. Definitely a very good actor. Here we go. Ooh, they're wearing gis and everything. So there's I guess the European fighter. I'm not sure that's what. Oh, is that Robert Wall? Maybe that's Robert Wall. Here it says Robert Wall as Bob/Tom/Fred. So I guess it depends upon what dub or subtitles you're watching to say what his character is. That must be Bob Wall, because Bob Wall, of course, was another American martial artist of the era. One who I failed to name in the intro of this when I was talking about some of the other contemporaries of Chuck. So here, Chuck has not appeared yet. So we've got Bob Wall and we've got Hong and Shek. Hong and Shek. Bob Wall first. I know Bob Wall did other movies too. He also passed away a few years ago, so he's another guy that's not with us. But he didn't do a lot of movies. But he's in Enter the Dragon, of course, and Game of Death. So I guess he got along pretty well with Bruce. But that's kind of really it. I guess he has like small roles in a few things, including one of Chuck's movies, Invasion USA. But really, he didn't have big roles. He plays himself in Sidekicks. I don't remember that. I should watch Sidekicks again. It's so stupid. Oh, I'm missing the fights here. Bob Wall's. Oh. That's weird because it's like somebody's dubbing him with like a harsh sort of Japanese accent, but speaking Cantonese. It's odd. Song is having no trouble with Fred Bob here, whatever you want to call him, the supposed European fighter. So really, Chuck, I think, is the only fighter that gives him any trouble in the movie. Because I mean, Bob Wall is out of breath and beaten up and kicked right in the back of the knee. Man, that would hurt. Oh, he even gives him a slam and one hit for ground and pound. As they say, Bruce Lee was the father of mixed martial arts, which I mean, fair. You know, we've seen the interviews where Bruce talks about, you know, there's no point in just sticking to one style. If you want to be an effective fighter, you have to take the best things from all the styles. So that really is the philosophy of what will become to be known as mixed martial arts. Some people point out that the fight he has with Sammo Hung in Enter the Dragon, because that fight is like supposedly, not just like a street fight, but part of sort of like a loose tournament setting, and they're both wearing these gloves, but instead of boxing gloves, they got open finger gloves. You could even say like this was maybe the first ever MMA match, even though it was fictional. Yeah, so now he's moved on to the Japanese karateka, actually played by the Korean Hwang In-shek. And he's handling him pretty well too. Now his friends come in to finish him off. It's like, well, Tang did the hard work. Let's kick his ass. We gotta have some self-esteem here too. So that kind of plays out how you expect. Those two guys kick the shit out of their guys, but then Tang handles them both kind of easily. So really, the only person he has any trouble with at all is Chuck's character, Colt, who is not in this scene. This is kind of mean. These two just beating on him now. Tang did all the work. You guys are just finishing him off to make yourselves feel better about getting your asses kicked earlier. Again, I get it. It's not like it's unrealistic. You did good, guys. Hit the showers. Oh my god. Betrayal. Man, I forgot all about that. He just stabbed them both to death. Holy shit. Yeah, that's Uncle Wang himself. Yeah. Holy shit. I forgot all about this. Uncle Wang is an asshole. He just stabbed his own guys. Because he thinks it's better to just sell the restaurant and get a lot of money. Yeah, I work hard for half my life, but I own nothing. I forgot all about this plot twist. So that's kind of cool. His wife and children are back in Hong Kong. Yeah, we get it, but it still does not justify it. You literally are just like murdering two people that were willing to put their lives on the line to protect you and your business. I will go enjoy luxury. I want an easy life. I mean, yeah, it's pretty easy for the audience to fucking hate you. Now he's actually laughing. He stabbed them. Did he kill them? I know he stabs them. Yeah, I don't know if they die, but he stabs them and then gives his stupid. Okay, so now here we go. Final fight here down at the Coliseum. I don't get the stuff with the cats. There's going to be shots of all these cats hanging around. As the fight goes on, every once in a while it cuts to show that these cats are watching it. Okay, maybe the Coliseum is, or at least was, a place where cats would congregate. I don't know, but it does make it, I guess, somewhat memorable. So here we go. It's time for Bruce versus Chuck. In our tribute to the late great Chuck Norris, who has departed this earthly plane. Oh, he knew you were coming, so he went and stood somewhere very dramatic. Nice. You can, like, looking at Chuck's weird long face, you totally get why he made the decision to get a beard. Because he looks kind of like a caveman. Like, his facial features are not good. Chuck Norris is not a handsome man, but a beard made him look at least okay. He looks fucking stupid. It literally looks like he's like Bruce Lee has to fight a Neanderthal. I don't mean to be cruel. The whole point is we're supposed to be honoring Chuck and his legacy. I'm just saying I get why he grew the beard. The beard definitely helped him out. It was more than just iconic. It was literally covering up a face that was not really great for cameras. funny is whenever I watched the scene, I always got this. It always made it seem like Chuck Norris was big, which of course he wasn't. He was about 5'10", kind of an average sized guy, not even 6 feet. But he fought in, I think, heavier weight divisions. Like if he fought Joe Louis did fight at heavyweight, which is one of the reasons why he never fought or sparred with Bruce Lee. He said, yeah, I had the opportunity maybe to spar with him, but he was a little guy. He was way out of my weight class, so I shouldn't have done that. It wouldn't be a good thing or something. There was at least one account of them doing sparring session anyway, and the story goes that Bruce didn't kick his ass or anything like that, but basically he was too fast for Joe. Joe, who at this point was the most dominant kickboxing champion in the world, he just couldn't lay a hand on Bruce. So there's our first cap. Many more to follow. Also notice the clothing change here. Bruce is now back in the sort of traditional Chinese clothes he arrived in. Throughout the movie, he was wearing, more westernized clothes, I guess, to blend in. But now, for this final fight, he's back to sort of traditional clothes. Just, again, pretty cool. I get it. This whole Coliseum thing gets ruined many years later in the horrible Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, Double Team. I don't want to ruin that, but in Double Team, the whole climax takes place, I believe, here at the Coliseum. And it's got Jean-Claude Van Damme and that basketball player teaming up. Yeah, it's one of the more epic showdowns. And he's so hairy and gross. I get it, it's the 70s. Nobody thought of grooming at all. Everybody just let whatever hair. That's the funny thing. I said a beard actually helps him out, but here some wax would help him out. Oh, look at the hair on his shoulders. That's disgusting. Jesus Christ. Bruce is another good contrast to that. Nothing. Bruce is smooth. But yeah, they respect each other, so they're just going to do some warm-ups. Some forms. Shot of a kitten. It's quite a few kittens around. You're doing the thing. So it's interesting. This is before the 80s. Bruce looks cut and ripped. This guy doesn't look bad. Chuck doesn't look bad, but he doesn't have the musculature that you would see by the 80s when he was actually older. So probably he didn't go shirtless then, where that really became a thing. As it started, I guess Arnold was really the thing, but of course Stallone as Rocky too, right? So that as the 80s progressed, and even to this day, leading men have to be very muscular and stuff. Didn't start off that way. I think even in the early 80s, you had stuff like Harrison Ford or Kurt Russell. When their shirts off, they were in good shape. They looked good, but they weren't ripped. And here, Chuck is not ripped. Of course, he became not just a martial arts guy, but a fitness guy. I remember seeing infomercials and stuff. This is when he'd be in his fucking 60s, probably. Yeah. So it's funny. So, I mean, compared to Bruce, who was maybe 5'7", he does look pretty big, but not actually a big guy. A lot of preamble to this fight. And we need it because to this point, Tong has just beaten the shit out of everybody he's come up against, including the other two supposed specialists. So Colt is really, I guess, supposed to be an upgrade. Some handheld camera there with the kicks coming right at the screen. Kind of cool. So he does. That's the first time he floors Bruce with a spinning hook kick. It's wow, I'll taste your own medicine. But being the good now he's nice combo, throws him down. Oh, see, that hair is not a good thing to have, Chuck. You just took a handful of, yeah. But Tong is getting hurt here. He's getting hit quite a bit. And he's floored with another spinning hook kick. And now he's doing the thing. It's you're not used to this. But you keep letting him up, which is another thing. in a street fight, would you really let your opponent get up? I think I actually would because I don't know, I'm just sort of wired that way. So I guess it's realistic enough. But you really shouldn't, right? Street fight, they're not just, they're out to do you serious harm, maybe even kill you. So ground and pound's not a bad idea. But these guys, I get it. They're both proud martial artists. Like their characters are proud martial artists. So they do want to have like a fair fight. So let the guy get up. Plus, at this point, Colt has every reason to be confident. He's won both exchanges with him and put him on his ass twice. But now we get a little slow-mo. Now he's making a miss. And I mean, kicks like that take a lot of energy. That's why when you watch like kickboxing or mixed martial arts, guys don't usually have a super kick-heavy approach just because they have to conserve energy. It takes a lot of energy to throw kicks like that. Your legs are heavier than your arms. So he's done some things here. He's made Colt swing and miss a bunch of times. Here's another shot to a cat not paying attention. Colt, I guess, is supposed to be now we get the other way. His first-person view of Tong's feet coming at you. So right now, neither of them can land. But things are about to change. Leg kick. Oh, there we go. Now he's hit him square a few times, and now he's down, but the difference is he just can't recover. Tong has all the momentum now, and Colt has expended too much energy. Another kick to the back of the leg. Which again, like you see that like in Muay Thai and MMA, and it can be devastatingly effective. But also you'll see the fighter sort of shrug it off sometimes. But in a street fight, when you're not barefoot, that's another thing I would recommend. Like something that Bruce actually showed for self-defense. And if you bought his, like he had at least like a series of like 3 books that were all about martial arts, and there were sections on self-defense, and one was a side kick, but instead of like going for like the chest or stomach, go low with it and try to hit the side of the knee. And that's to the point that like in MMA and stuff, like some people think that kick shouldn't even be allowed because if it lands right, you can like seriously injure somebody. I don't know if it should be in competition, but it is a good thing to have on the street, especially if you get attacked in the street, you're wearing shoes. So yeah, that's one thing I feel kind of confident about. I mean, I have no idea, it all depends, right? You don't know who you're going to fight. For most of my life, I thought, if I have to fight somebody, there's a 90% chance, if not more, that they will be bigger and stronger than me. Now I've gotten to the point where that's true. But what's also true is they will most likely be younger than me too. It's no fun getting older, but I don't think I'm going to have to fight for my life. So that's okay. I'm sorry, Colt, you're done. You're out on your feet. Oh, he's still swinging. See? No energy for kicks anymore. Now just the punches. I do like this fight, but I think it's one of the most important fights in like martial arts movies history. But I don't think it's one of the best. And it was one of the best back then. It's just been surpassed, and it's simply because choreography and things evolved and improved. It's not like this isn't good. It still holds up. It's not like it's hokey or shitty. It's good because it's 2 very good martial artists going at each other. You don't need stupid editing tricks or anything because both guys know how to fight. Colt, you're done. You're done, Colt. Yeah. Colt won't accept it. He wants to go out fighting, which is not a great idea because he was going to let you live. Like, you got nothing left. There's no reason. I mean, he's not a threat at this point, so why does Tong kill him? Like, he's reluctant to kill him, but he acts like he needs to. I guess it's because, like he shakes his head there. Dramatic shot of a kitten again. Like, Colt knows he's beaten, knows he can't win. Okay, that's not good. Rabbit punches. Okay, no, I don't feel bad about killing you. So I guess he breaks his neck there. And you see that it bothers him, which is funny too, because like in other movies, like Bruce Lee's character doesn't think anything of killing his opponents, which is something that like separated, somebody like Jackie from him. Like once Jackie was in the movies that he was like controlling, he wasn't killing people. He would beat them, but he wouldn't kill them. He'd even go out of his way to like not kill people, which I think a lot of people appreciated. But it's a different thing. Just because you have an image doesn't mean you always have to stick by it, and that's something that pigeonholes a lot of actors, whether they're martial artists or just ordinary actors. Is like it's no fun getting typecast, and it's no fun that like when you try to break out of it, like the audience just like freaks out and doesn't accept it. It's like we don't want to see this actor do that. I understand to a certain extent. Like Jackie Chan couldn't just start throwing softcore sex scenes into his movies. That'd be ridiculous. But although I think there'd be too much censorship there anyway. Although the Hong Kong market was a lot more free. I don't know. I always wonder about that. There are, sexy Hong Kong movies with at least some nudity in them, so it's not like it wasn't allowed at all. But in the case of somebody like Jackie, like they really were going for the widest audience and making things family friendly. And what's funny is again, a lot of these movies from the 80s, we look at them now and they wouldn't be just rated G or PG at all because they would actually have things that are definitely inappropriate, including while they didn't necessarily have like sex or nudity, they would have like a lot of innuendo and things and a lot of stuff that doesn't age very well that might come across as misogynistic or sexist or whatever like that. There's a lot of objective, women being objectified and stuff just being played for laughs. And I mean, it wasn't just a Hong Kong thing, in the 80s, there's a million super like sort of sexist movies like that, and I don't like flip out over them, or I'm just saying it is funny like that like back then, like at least in the case of the Hong Kong, I mean at least in those movies like over here like they would like get rated R or whatever, but over there they'd be like this is a fun family like in like the second Lucky Stars movie, Twinkle 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 Lucky Stars. Like there's like the whole middle section of the movie is basically like Sammo, like Jackie's not involved although he's in the movie. It's like Sammo Hung and all those other guys like basically perving on Sibel Hu's character, and like a big chunk of the movie is that, and it's all played for laughs, but like some of it really does cross lines. At one point they even like make sort of like rape jokes, which again I'm not one of those hypersensitive people. I think you can make rape jokes. I really do. Like some people like don't joke about rape. I think you can in the right context. I'm just saying in this it's wildly out of place. It just doesn't fit the movie at fucking all, so it's like kind of crazy. What's funny is like in the booklet I have for the Girls with Guns movie, which also has Sibel Who and Cynthia Rothrock, the first the inspector wears skirts. The booklet I read, talks about some of this stuff, like how some humor doesn't age very well. It mentions the movie having an AIDS joke, but I guess they changed maybe because they were aware of it. Like if you watch the movie with English subtitles, like I don't understand Cantonese, so maybe there is an AIDS joke there, and they just decided to translate it differently to avoid offense. Because if you watch it with the English subtitles, there is no AIDS joke, at least that I can remember. So I would like to know what the AIDS joke is, where it is in the movie, and what the context is. It interests me. So I'll have to try to look into that. Anyway, he's done his job. It's time to go. Uncle Wang's dead. Yeah, he's a loner who'll never settle down. So I guess they're trying to say that Chen maybe had a bit of a crush on him. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe she just liked him and thought he was cool. Doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic thing, but it's just like, no, he's got to move on. So yeah, that's the end there. Credits: Tang Lung, Chen Jinghua, Colt Ho, Chuck Norris, and Nora Moa. Yeah, so here he's credited as Fred. Robert Wall is Fred. I don't know why they don't say European fighter. They give him a name, Fred. What European's name Fred? I don't know. But Japanese fighter. Anyway, so that's our tribute to Chuck Norris. His first movie, his first time on screen, and still one of the classic movies and classic fights. How do I feel about Chuck Norris's career? Like after that, I don't know. Again, it's just more fun schlock. Like I would not put any Chuck Norris movie in like the pantheon of assistant unicorn. So I guess they mean they're missing the R though. Do they mean Unicorn Chan? I don't know. Who can trust these old timey credits? But anyway, yeah. So like no, I if I'm naming like great martial arts movies, like there's no Chuck Norris movie in there, but there are Chuck Norris movies I enjoy just because they're cheesy and stuff. Like I said, the aforementioned what's it called? Why? I can't remember anything. How am I gonna ever do this? Oh my god, Lone Wolf McQuade is a super cheesy and fun movie. What's interesting, like speaking of like movies like that, like Invasion USA and what is it? Is it Behind Enemy Lines? No, that's not it. I don't know. But anyway, stuff like that is like for canon, when they originally came up with the American Ninja concept, it was going to be Chuck Norris in that. And there you can even, I think you can find it on the internet, there's even like poster art that had Chuck Norris like on it as the main guy. But I can't remember why that fell through and other stuff to do. And anyway, he got replaced by, what is it? Dudikoff? Is it Michael Dudikoff? Man, I'm fucking up names. But anyway, but yeah, it was originally going to be Chuck Norris in American Ninja, which makes a lot of sense. Obviously, he was a name by then and could certainly have pulled it off, but he wound up doing other stuff. But yeah, so Chuck Norris, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with him politically. I think he was much too conservative and maybe went off the deep end as he got older, as a lot of these guys do. Don't know if he was full MAGA. He might have endorsed Trump. I don't know. Yeah, but still, I really respect the guy's legacy, and I don't think he was a bad guy by any stretch. From what I've heard, people certainly had respect for him and liked working with him. And yeah, great legacy. Just he got to live an extraordinary life. Not many people do. He really was unique. He blazed the trail. He was part of a pretty small group of people that helped push forward martial arts in the West and elevated, and then became one of the 80s action stars. Not on the same level as an Arnold Schwarzenegger or a Stallone, but he was there, and people appreciate it, and a lot of fun. And then he made the transition to TV, and a lot of people remember Walker Texas Ranger very fondly. I flip to its own then. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So you will be missed, Chuck. You're still the king of those memes for sure. Chuck Norris is dead, but he remains undefeated. So rest in peace to the great Chuck Norris. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time with something hopefully better. But yeah, peace out, guys. Have a good night. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.